Hello, my darlings. I know this video is late, but I said last week that I was going to tell you a Halloween story, and you have to wait till midnight on Halloween for a Halloween story. And I have a special treat for you. And first off, before I get to that, I know somebody's going to comment and be like, hey, where's your costume? You have to dress up every week. And I'm just going to cop out and say, one, I'm either dressed as a storyteller, or two, I'm dressed as the scariest thing most of us will ever face. Ourselves. Yeah, we got deep here just now. Anyway, I decided that instead of writing a horror story, which I could have probably done, I remembered that I had a bunch of old papers that I wrote in high school. And I was like, I'm pretty sure one of them was a horror story. So, y'all. And it's only like this page and this page, so, I mean, it's short. Basically, if I remember correctly, it was an English assignment where we had to write a sequel to a short story called The Most Dangerous Game. And if you ever have to do a report on a short story, I highly recommend it, especially for those of you who are a little bit more twisted in the head. It's a fairly old story. It's written by Richard Connell, and the basic summary of it is you've probably seen it mixed up in many different ways since it first came out, but the original, two characters that you really have to worry about. The general, who has a private island, I believe is what it was, likes to hunt people on it. And the little ne'er-do-well in the story, Ransford, I believe is how you say it, does not know this fact and stumbles upon the island and the general and proceeds to participate in this game where the general hunts him. Now, I'm not going to give any more away than that because you should really read the book. It's really good. But the challenge for us in this English assignment was to write a sequel. So I am about to read you my sequel to The Most Dangerous Game. And I'm just going to say, back in my younger years, I had visions of being a writer. And I thought that meant writing very, very, very flowery. I can't say words. See, this is why it didn't work out. Very flowery language. So, yeah. Like I said, this is a special treat for y'all. Hopefully you laugh and whatever. Okay, so, my sequel, and I hope I'm like shooting myself correctly here. My sequel kind of picks up from the end of the last story. And it's entitled Ghost Moments. Ransford woke up with a start and for a moment glanced about himself in a groggy daze. Then, with the ferocity of a tidal wave, realization hit him. Ransford sat up and reflected on the past 4 days. On the first day, after being thrown out of the yacht headed for a spectacular hunting ground, he found himself stranded on Ship Trap Island. It was then that he met General Zaroff and his gigantic servant Ivan. Sidebar, I'm pretty sure there was something going on there. The general and his manservant. Alright, okay. Back into the story now. After the general had divulged his fancy for hunting humans, Ransford quickly became a victim of the game that had tested his wits to near exhaustion for 3 full days. Ransford, however, had won the game, such as no other victim had before. Astonishingly enough, the general had accepted defeat and chose to risk the company of his own hounds and had offered Ransford the bed in which he now sat. After reflecting on his adventure, Ransford had a sudden cold-blooded thought. He hoped the general had not survived his encounter with the hounds. Dun dun dun. Sweating with anticipation, Ransford leaped from the bed and raced to the courtyard where the dogs were kept. Upon entering the courtyard, Ransford slumped against a wall in sickened haste. For the sight that greeted his eyes was that of the general, sleeping amongst his dogs, all of which appeared to be dead. Upon further inspection, Ransford noticed a knife dripping with fresh blood dangling from the general's hand. Strange, he thought. For the general to have survived the night, he would have had to kill the dogs immediately, leaving the blood on the knife hard and crusted. Ransford, however, did not dwell on the thought for long. He knew his most important priority was getting off the island. He also knew he needed the general's help to make the necessary arrangements. Ransford went to wake the general, but all his efforts succeeded in doing was making the general shiver and pull his coat tighter. Ransford was suddenly overcome with exhaustion and decided to sleep longer before rushing into anything rash. Upon returning to his room, Ransford was hit with a nauseating smell. Ransford slowly glanced into his room and looked for the source of the smell. To his horror, the smell seemed to be coming from the bed in which he had slept. Terror began to strangle him when he noted that the once white Victorian-era bed was a deep, dark red. Ransford pulled back the sheets very slowly and gasped in horror, and before he let out a blood-curdling scream, he recalled one thing: a knife dripping with fresh blood. Dun dun dun! I'm awesome. I'm just gonna say, I'm pretty sure I wrote that at 15. Go me. I hope you enjoyed that. Happy Halloween, my darlings. It has been a ride, has it not? I will see you next Friday. Comment below, as always, with something you'd like me to talk about or a game or challenge you'd like me to do. Goodbye. Mwah.